All right, so I want to talk for a minute about traumatic brain injury, concussions, etc. I got a case study here I'd like to share with you. In this particular case, Angelique's a little camera shy. So, as much as I'd love for her to tell her side of the story, what she's going to do is she's going to actually type it out for me, and I'll make a separate video on that later so you can hear her perspective, but I want to share with you mine. So, basically, what happened with Angelique is she's 37 years old. And back in September of last year, she was involved in a boating accident. She was being pulled behind a boat on a parasail. Something happened. She got ragdolled, flopped around on the water, and ended up with a traumatic brain injury. So, Angelique's husband is a physician. They were with an emergency room physician, so she was evaluated immediately, which is very, very important in these cases of severe injury. But they cleared her. There was no internal injuries. Basically, just sent her home, which for the basic, dark room, avoid your screen treatment, etc. So, at the time, her major symptoms were she was light and sound sensitive to the point that she had to sit in dark rooms. She had to avoid her kids because of the sounds. Because when they made a lot of sound, it actually hurt her. She had what she calls head pain, which wasn't a headache. It was like her whole head hurt. And then eventually depression set in, which is a symptom of traumatic brain injury. So basically, because of this incident, Angelique's life was a wreck. The thing that stuck out to me was the dizziness that came from the injury. She could not stand and close her eyes. For her church job, she plays the organ at church, and she had to sit and close her eyes during the announcements because looking back and forth with the music just uh, brought those symptoms on. It was a really tough thing for her. Finally, on January 16th, and to be fair, Angelique is one of our friends. Like she's one of my wife's great friends. I finally texted her on January 16th, and I said, "When are you going to let me laser your noggin?" That's literally what I said in the text, and she agreed. So she came over, and we did an evaluation with her, where basically we looked at the function of her nervous system. To save you the long form of what we did, basically we figured out that inside of her vestibular system, so the cerebellum is the part of your brain right here that sits and it coordinates balance and coordination, spinal muscles, and eye movements. It gets input from what's called your vestibular system, which is the little canals that are on the inside of your inner ear. They're situated in such that when you turn your head and you look at a target, your eyes moving back and forth are because that system is telling your cerebellum where your head's moving, and it allows you to lock on a target so you can move your head and your eyes move accordingly. So basically what we figured out with her was in this posterior canal back here, the signal was not getting from the posterior canal to the cerebellum. So that's where a lot of those symptoms were coming from. And if you look at the papers of low-level laser therapy, that's what they call it in the actual research. What it does is, even through the cranium, it will stimulate your cells to start producing more blood flow, start producing more energy. So once we figured out where the problem was, we applied our laser, which happens to shine two lights. One of them's at 435 nanometers, so it's bright red. The other one's 405 nanometers, so it's a very deep purple. We shined those right over the area where where this system is, this vestibular system is. I had her do some specific eye movements in the direction that this canal would be associated with, and then we had her repeat that process a couple times. And within 1 week of doing this, and we only did it twice a week, so within two visits or two of these sessions with her, most of her symptoms were dramatically gone, like dramatically diminished, almost gone. So if you fast forward to today, so last night we saw her, and we moved her to once a week because the symptoms are pretty much they're non-existent. The headache's gone. She's functioning normally. She's listening to the radio in the car. She's spending time with her kids. But her goal is to get back on the boat this summer. That's their big thing with their family, is they love to take the boat out, go water skiing, spend time as a family together. So that's her goal, is to be able to get back on the boat. At this point, she feels like she can do that. I haven't told her this yet, but my goal for her is get her back to water skiing because I know that's where she's happy. But all that was possible because we figured out where the issue is. We applied appropriate stimulation. I will give her credit because she eats a clean diet. Diet can play a huge role in this. We just added some omega-3s to her diet, and she kept eating the way she was eating. So she did a great job there. But that's how we got her to have what I call a miraculous recovery. So I will, when she writes this up for me, I will share that with you in a subsequent video. But I just wanted to share that with you. So there it is.